All right, hi guys, can you hear me well? Can you hear me loud and clear? I do have a different mic on, so I want to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me okay? Okay, I switched it back to the classic mic that I was using before. So sorry, my little ones. I have this amazing image up of the Adirondacks because that's where we were this weekend. It was gorgeous. Now my little one is a little overtired from being there, going hiking all morning and then traveling today. So I do apologize. Such is the life with a 2-year-old. They are full of tantrums. So let's go ahead and get into it for the week. So we've got the SPY to start off with. If you guys don't know already, I have started teaching in the training pit right up above, helping people that have somewhat knowledge of the stock market, some people that have zero knowledge of the stock market. So if you are curious about learning how to trade, definitely check it out. We are there to help people, to help you reset, and to help teach you a little bit about the dark pools. So let's go ahead and get into the indexes for the week. So this line right here, this one, which I will make, actually we'll make it a lot darker. Hold on. Let's go over here and let's make it thicker. Even thicker right there. So that line, if we go back to the weekly chart for the SPY, you will see that that has been where we topped out back January of 2018, October, and then boom, look at that. We hit it again July of this year, and then it pulled back. We've had 2 weeks pull back, almost hit the 50 simple moving average on the weekly, and then we bounced up, right? So we haven't bounced up above the 21 exponential moving average on the weekly, and of course we're going to be below it on the daily if we aren't above it. So I would say, really, for me to feel like we're in that bullish movement, we are above the 4 EMA, the 8 EMA, but we closed right in between the two of them, actually. So I would look for it to be a break above the 50 simple moving average here, and for me the 21 exponential moving average before we might go ahead and test up to higher highs, because right now we're sort of in that limbo zone, right? We came, we tested, we made a new high. We were hovering around this trend line, and had been in this upward channel right here, and then we broke down, right? And then this could have been 3 days of consolidation. We did have higher volume, and now it's a little bit lower, a little bit higher on the selling here, just below the 50 simple moving average. So not in limbo right now for me. Not saying I'm bullish on the market or that I'm bearish on the market, but look at this. We did have massive volume these past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of higher volume than normal, 8 days actually. So almost 2 weeks of higher volume. So looking to see which direction we break. We're just right in the middle. So is it going to be a break up, or is it going to be a break down from the 50 simple moving average? We'll see. So let's look at the NASDAQ, and same thing, came down. We tested that high, broke down. We had the semiconductors that took it up to new highs. We had Amazon that helped tank it down, and then we did hit this 90 simple moving average right here. I just want to make sure that is the 90 on the settings here. No, 161 actually. Interesting. 161 for that simple moving average. And then it bounced back up, but we're right below that 50 simple moving average as well. Then we have the Russell that tends to break down faster than the other indexes, and we are well below that 50 simple moving average, which is hovering right at the 21 exponential as well. So I'll put an alert there that we are breaking up, if we can break up that on a daily chart, and we are below the 200 simple day moving average. When we do look at it, right, we have the 50 in a downward trend, and we have the 200 in a downward trend. If we go back and we look at the NASDAQ, the 200 is somewhat flat and the 50 is somewhat curling up. And when we look at it on the bigger picture as well, The SPY is slightly upward movement on the 200 simple moving average, and the 50-day is in the upward trend too. So right now the SPY is still looking a bit bullish on those longer term averages. The NASDAQ is as well, and then the Russell is looking like it's in a downward trend overall when we're looking at those longer term averages. So getting into my watch list for the week, if you guys watched it last week and you got in on Shopify, I had it before we had this big run up this week, right? And I said, hey guys, this is a potential longer term breakout stock. It is a tech stock in Canada. We had earnings, and then boom, look at that. If you'd gotten in on Monday, as I potentially suggested to get in, you know, as long as the 322 held and we bounced off of these averages, you could have been in, say 320, just potentially, in 320 on Monday and up 50 points over the week. Like, that's amazing. Almost 20% in a week for a $300 stock, which is pretty amazing. So definitely one that I have in my longer term holdings, but is on watch. Again, nice upward trend. We are a bit far away from these averages, so it might pull back a little bit. 355 area, we might come down. I would say just keep it on watch. It might have a bit of a pullback before it surges up a little bit more, just like we had here, right? It hit new highs, was a little bit far away from the averages, pulled back, and then now it's surged up again to new highs. So keep that one on watch. I'm sorry, I also want to tell you, so 360.96 for support, 371.19 for resistance for Shopify, 97 million in the float, and it was 45% short float volume on Friday. Next, we have PCTY. So I would look for support around 108.99 right here. It had great upward movement on Friday and pretty much held that 109 area, and I would look for a breakout above 1161. It does have 32.6 million in the float, and it was 63% short float volume on Friday. Big after hours volume or big closing volume here on Friday, so curious to see what the direction will be going into Monday. Also, sorry, I missed Ego there. So Ego is a gold stock up in Canada as well. I have been riding this one up since the fives down here. I thought that, I got in around 560, and I thought, oh man, I'm late to the party. Well, look at that, up another $2.80 here, up to 840, 888. We had a high of almost 9 for the year so far. So definitely keeping this one on watch. I got out before the earnings and then back in again and added. So we shall see where we go. It looks like we had bigger than normal volume right here on the day that the second day that it was up in the 890 area, larger volume there. We had big volume back here. This could be potentially selling I will put an alert here, 769 for crossing down for my longer term holding. But for shorter term, for day trade, I would look for support of 823 to be broken to the downside, or 848 to the upside. And it does have 158 million in the float, 74% short float volume on Friday. So if gold does gap up, if you see that the gold futures are gapping up, a lot of the gold stocks, there's GLD as well, GDX, and IAU, they all had more than 50% of short volume on Friday. So keeping those all on watch. And really, if you go to the futures, so we have GC. So actually, let's check and see what they're doing right now. So the futures, this is the daily chart. Let's go ahead and put in 45 minutes. So it is a bit delayed because I do not pay for the futures, but it looks like, okay, we've got, today is the 11th. So we've opened and we're down a little bit from where it opened. It closed at 15 right here, 1508.6. So we're down just a little bit right now on the futures. Doesn't mean that it's not going to continue up or go out further. If we look back on a weekly chart, you can see we've had pretty insane run up. So are we going to go ahead and continue up further? Go ahead and test up all the way up here, even look for 1600 in the next couple of months, or is it going to be a bit of a pullback and come back down this direction and test those averages down there? We shall see, right? So let's go on to TLND for potential long. Let's go back to the daily chart. Weekly, you can see that massive run up that looks amazing after earnings. So we were down here, 32, had earnings, went ahead, gapped up above the 50, it tested it and held above it, and gapped up second day. It does have the sell-off a bit on Friday on that wick. So I would look for support of 38.50 and resistance of 40.30 to be broken to the upside. It does have 26.2 million in the float and was 31% short float volume on Friday. Next on the potential long list is TISI or TC, however you want to say it. I would look for support of 17.58 to be broken to the downside and 17.91 for resistance to the upside. As you can see, we've hit this area before. It was a resistance area back here in April, so it might act as resistance again and support as well. So it was resistance first here and then resistance right here. So we shall see if we're able to continue on up further going into Monday. It does have 29.2 million in the float. It had great earnings, 3 days of upward movement. The fourth day we might see further selling back down, but it did break the 50 moving average back here, 200 simple moving average, and an upward motion. So the next big test I would say would likely be right up here at 830 and then up to 1880 and then on up to 1950 from there, 19 and 1950. Potential shorts for the week. We have AAXN. You can see they had earnings, they had a big gap down, opened, gap down, tested the 200 simple moving average and bounced up. So I would look for the resistance of 60.70 because it had a big run up end of day, but then it pulled back, closing almost at the lows, but not all the way down, at 56.91 for support to be broken. It does have 58 million in the float for AAXN. Then we have AIG as well. I would look for support of 55.85 and resistance of 56.75. Let's look at it on the yearly chart here as well. So we'll get rid of these. These are old ones that I've had, obviously. So we're up here, right? So we had it pulled back, it gapped up, and now it's pulling back down. We are above the averages right now. It bounced down here to the 20 simple moving average and bounced back up. But I would say, you know, for bullish in the trend, I would look for a breakdown of 55.30 to me. For day trade, a break of 55.85. Hey, bat scientist. You can hear me okay? All right, next one, I'm really excited about CZR. So CZR earnings, and we had a little bounce up, tested the 21 EMA here, and then pulled back. We are below the 4 EMA and the 8 EMA. We do have the 50 down here, down at 11.10, this blue line, and then we have this big gap potentially to the downside, down to roughly $10, $10.15. And we are up here with a support of 11.42 to be broken to the downside, resistance of 11.64. So we shall see what the volume is dropping off here, and we are in a down, it looks like a downward motion as well. So since we hit up here on the 30th of July, been pulling back, a little bounce with earnings, but still in a downward motion. So potentially that gap fill to come. So definitely on watch for this week. And CZR does have 672 million in the float. Next potential short is Heinz. So Heinz had a major gap down and then bounced up, and then second day gap down as well. So the 52-week range, we are below 50% value on this stock from the year. So when we pull it back on the yearly, you can see this has just had this downward trend overall. So we broke the 50 simple moving average. We are below all of the averages. We did have a bounce up, potentially, you know, that's like the rubber band effect. It went too far out of the Bollinger Bands and it bounced back up, and now there was a further sell-off. This could be institutional selling the second day. The volume overall was really big on this day, so there might have been some institutional buying, propping it up and selling. So my support would be 26.50 to be broken to the downside, and then resistance of 28.23. You can see 26.05 was the 52-week low. Many times when we do see that the 52-week low is broken, it will continue on down for a little bit of time before we start to see that trend stop. So in my opinion, I would be bullish on this until we see that it curls up. and Heinz and Kraft have 948 million in the float. Next potential short is DXC Technology. They had earnings, massive gap down, opened up here at 38.80 and it closed at 35.91. I would be looking for a support of 34.66 down here to be broken to the downside for potential short on Monday, and 36.47 for resistance to the upside. This is a 1550 simple moving average right here. So it is sort of hovering around the averages right there on the 15-minute chart. So could break one way or the other. Lots of volume at the end of the day. So we shall see. DXC does have 266 million in the float, and potential swing of TAST. So TAST, let's pull it back on the yearly. So we'd come down, we had earnings, and it had a nice big green bounce up. So potentially it hit the 52-week low, it had a big bounce up. We'll see if this continues to hold this range right here, or if it's going to bounce up for further sell-off. But this one is on watch for potential swing trade going on for the week. As always, guys, if you like my content, please like and subscribe. Carpe Profit sees those profits one trade at a time. Looking forward to seeing you in the training pit. Have a great week ahead. Bye.